Hey, my name's Cameron Rooney from Profitable Pixels.
Hi, I'm Mike.
We are two of the team members that have made the Advanced Technology Center virtual tour in UDK. We're just going to walk you through some of the assets that we've been making over the semester. Mike?
What you can see here right now is the basic creation process of the assets in Maya, where we have to make the complex assets from scratch. As you can see, that staircase is being built up in block modeling. Then we have to unwrap it using the UV unwrap tool, which is basically like skinning it, even though it's a block object, so that we can paint it in Photoshop. We take a UV snapshot of that, take it into Photoshop, and as you can see, it's just a black and white to begin with, just guidelines for us to paint, and we start painting it. We obviously have to add color correction and a whole lot of different things to get it right, but eventually, after a fair bit of work and a fair few layers, we get it to a stage where we're able to create a texture out of that we can take back into Maya. Here you can see the specular map, which is done much the same way. We then make a material in Maya, grabbing the texture that we've created as a target and apply it in Maya. Technically this wouldn't have to be done, it would still work fine in UDK without it, but this is a good way for us to test it. Once we've tested the texture, we also test it with some lights, as you can see there, and when that's ready and we think it's going to be okay in UDK, we take it back to UDK.
So when we were making the level, we decided to try and find out if we could grab the blueprints. Pete was nice enough to eventually show it to us. So what you're seeing here is the very first layout that Cable designed. With a little bit of help from both of us. It turns out pretty good. Obviously the default texture is what you can see there. And then eventually a few weeks later we decided to get down onto the eye level and really get a good feel for the level. Some of the textures are done there, as you can see the concrete, but this is a very early adaptation considering the final product. There are literally so many levels that we could show you guys for the making of, but we could only show so many. As you can see there, the stairs are just meant to represent the escalators that are obviously in the building. Eventually we added lighting and the skybox, which added a whole new sense of atmosphere. The lights especially helped, which use an emissive map, which is something that once you've put it onto the texture map, it can allow it to actually emit light into the scene. So when you're making lights, it just works very, very easily. And here you can see the very last final project. Yeah, it turned out really, really good. I was incredibly happy with it. It came together pretty well at the end. There is over 60 different textures put together to make this project, over 25 different materials, all combined in the same way that we've seen at the start of this. And yeah, we hope you guys liked it.
At this point we're just demonstrating some of the Kismet that Cable did and Cameron did. I'm not very UDK proficient myself, so it was left to them to do a lot of the heavy lifting for this part of the project. The assets are placed, but as you can see with a lot of those Kismet coding, it's all the stuff like making the escalators work and the elevators work, which was a lot more complicated than we first envisioned, but we're really glad that we managed to get it in there in the end. And there's a wireframe view that shows you the first 3 levels quite populated, and the others just repeating for depth's sake. But obviously if we get the chance to work on this project further, we can take it as far as you like. Looking forward to it.
The one other thing I wanted to show you guys while we're doing it is once we've made all the textures that we mentioned before, we have to put it into UDK and create a material out of it. Now this is the material shader. This is just one of the many, many, many textures we made.
This is one of your best, I gotta say.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it because it was such a challenge. But as you can see there, they got the normal map. This is all of the textures presented right now. Sorry, we have the normal map, texture map, specular map, bump offset map, opacity mask, opacity, translucency for every single one of them. So that's pretty much all there is, guys. Thank you very much for listening.
It's huge. Thank you.